but at its heart, I mean, it's folk medicine. It's meant for everyday people to apply and use. And so there's even more of this science of life that is very accessible. And once you get it, it's very intuitive. One of my teachers, Dr. Claudia Welsh, says there's a lot of Ayurveda moments where you're just like, oh yeah, duh, of course. If I eat something rich and heavy and fatty, it's going to make me feel tired and heavy and fatty. Things like that, where these associations, you may have seen in your little Ayurveda book, these intricate food lists of who should eat what, and what the best vegetables are for this body type, and the best grains for that body type. But really, it's more of a framework and understanding that once you get it, once you sort of put on that Ayurvedic lens, you can't unsee it. And it just becomes intuitive as you tune into your body, the subtle cues that your body is giving you, the subtle cues in your environment, and tune into how you react to different foods that you eat. It becomes a really easy way to navigate dietary questions using this approach.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever and wherever you are watching or listening. This is the Holistic Monitor, and I'm your host, Nick Sconia. The Holistic Monitor is a wellness podcast featuring life energy research, health and wellness transformation, self-improvement and empowerment, philosophy, spirituality, and now guest interviews as well. We look forward to your comments on our YouTube channel at Holistic Monitor. And you can also listen on the go with us at Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and more. And with that, let's get today's show started. Do you struggle with chronic health issues? Are you looking for a holistic approach to optimizing your health? On today's episode of the Holistic Monitor, we welcome Kimberly Kubicke, an Ayurvedic educator, consultant, and health coach. She helps individuals harness their body's potential to thrive. Kimberly's approach to Ayurveda focuses on helping clients develop a deeper awareness of their bodies and remedies to effectively resolve imbalances. Using her unique approach, she has helped countless clients optimize their health and well-being. What sets Ayurveda apart from other systems of medicine is its all-inclusive approach towards life. It views the body, mind, and spirit as interconnected and seeks to balance them to achieve optimal health. Kimberly's practice is open to anyone looking to improve their health through Ayurveda. Join us as we delve into Ayurveda and learn how it can help us achieve optimal health and well-being. And now, here is Kimberly Kubicke. Kimberly Kubicke, expert in Ayurveda and its impact on women's health, trained in Ayurvedic medicine, nutrition, and hormonal health, a registered Ayurvedic practitioner and Ayurvedic food and nutrition consultant. Does that sound like what you're doing?
Yes, it does.
Okay. I love Ayurvedic nutrition. I have a book that I have every now and again I dip into. It's like a study type of book, a little tiny book, but there's a lot to Ayurvedic, the Ayurvedic science of nutrition. It's like a cosmology unto its own. Is that right?
Yeah. A much different understanding than Western nutrition.
Yeah. So I think it aligns you with a certain body type, and that kind of guides how you're supposed to eat and what kind of medicine you should take. Is that right?
Yeah. Body type forms kind of the foundation of understanding yourself and what's going to be challenging for you and what's going to be supportive to you and what foods are going to work best to keep you in balance. Ayurvedic diet also takes into account the season, the climate that you're living in, recognizing that different times of year are going to bring out different qualities in us. Like right now where I am in the Northeast, it's cold and wet. And so we're going to have more cold and wet conditions in our body. And so we want to eat foods that are going to warm us up
Mm.
and kind of dry us out a little bit. Whereas in the fall season, for example, it's really dry. And so we want to eat a lot of rich, fatty foods to help moisten our tissues because everything's drying out around us. So aside from just understanding your own individual body, you also put your body in the context that it's living in, and sort of combining those two understandings make the best food choices that you can.
Hmm. Okay. Very much like in a dichotomy, it works in an opposite to balance.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Duality is a big um, concept in Ayurveda.
Hmm.
There's similar to Chinese medicine. We're all pretty familiar with the idea of yin and yang. Ayurveda has the same concepts. We call it Brahmana and Langana. Brahmana means building, Langana means lightning. And there's sort of refinements of each of those two overarching polar opposites, and we use those as the way that we categorize and understand our bodies and the food that we eat. So Ayurveda, Western medicine, I think is very much quantitative medicine. We look at how many calories does this have? How much fat does it have? How much protein does it have? And we break down all these different measurements. Whereas Ayurveda is more qualitative medicine. We look at what is this like? What is this food like? Oh, it's heavy and it's oily and it makes me feel sluggish and tired after I eat it, versus, oh, it's really light and sharp and spicy and I feel really awake and alert after I eat it. And everything in Ayurveda has the potential to be medicine, and everything has the potential to be poison. It all depends
Hmm.
on for whom, when, and how much.
Right, right. Wow. So what is the history? I know it's probably thousands of years old.
Mhm.
What's the basics of the history of the Ayurvedic practice?
Well, it's said to be the oldest system of healing in the world, and yeah, that it's as old as life itself. That humans, for as long as we've existed, have taken note of our environment, the elements in our environment, and how they interact with our bodies. So at its heart, there's a lot about Ayurveda that's very advanced and intricate and really foreign to our Western minds. But at its heart, I mean, it's folk medicine. It's meant for everyday people to apply and use. And so there's even more of this science of life that is very accessible. And once you get it, it's very intuitive. One of my teachers, Dr. Claudia Welsh, says there's a lot of Ayurveda moments where you're just like, oh yeah, duh, of course. If I eat something rich and heavy and fatty, it's going to make me feel tired and heavy and fatty. Um, you know, Things like that, where these associations, you may have seen in your little Ayurveda book these intricate food lists of who should eat what, and what the best vegetables are for this body type, and the best grains for that body type. But really, it's more of a framework and understanding that once you get it, once you sort of put on that Ayurvedic lens, you can't unsee it, and it just becomes intuitive as you tune into your body, the subtle cues that your body is giving you, the subtle cues in your environment, and tune into how you react to different foods that you eat. It becomes a really easy way to navigate dietary questions using this approach.
Right, right. And what kind of training did you have to go through to learn all of this? Because it's a big system, a lot of facets.
Yeah. Well, I studied with Dr. Vasant Lad at the Ayurvedic Institute. He is sort of credited with bringing Ayurveda to the West.
Oh,
He was really the first person teaching about it in English and making it accessible to a Western audience. So I studied with him and graduated from his Ayurvedic Institute. And then I went on to study with Amadea Morningstar, who is a Western trained nutritionist as well as an Ayurveda practitioner. She also studied with Dr. Lod. And then I also have studied with Dr. Claudia Welch, who's a doctor of Oriental medicine, as well as an Ayurveda practitioner. And she really specializes in women's health and hormones. And then I've studied with a number of doctors in India through online study.
Okay, that's fantastic. There's so much to the system, the body types, the food. There's It's part of, is it part of the Vedas? Is it part
Yeah.
of the original Vedic? Okay.
Yeah, they say that Ayurveda is derived from the Atharva Veda. There's four main Vedas, and they say that Ayurveda is sort of like a subset of the Atharva Veda.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. When I first read, what was it that I read? It was one of the Upanishads. I think it was something like that. Is that right? Upanishads. And it spoke right to me. It was like talking as if it was me reflecting in a book. It was like soul searching, like somebody looking for their soul in the world. It was really, or within themselves. It was a really cool, like mirror glance is what it felt like. Like I was reading something that maybe I wrote. It was a very, very cool experience reading the Upanishads. Which I guess are part of the Vedas. I can't remember how the whole breakdown is in that system, but I've always really been into how Ayurvedic practice involves food. It involves something that's like an everyday necessary thing, but it also has that spiritual balance to it as well. It's not just this nutrition system or a diet or something like that. It's actually it's a full cosmology.
Yeah, the definition of health actually in Ayurveda is that there's balance in all your bodily functions. And so like your digestion, your waste removal processes, the tissues in your body, there's harmony and balance in all of those. And that the person is well situated in themselves. So there's kind of this mental and spiritual component as well as this biological component to understanding and achieving health.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
So Ayurveda goes far beyond just diet. It's not just about what you eat. It's diet and lifestyle, really your daily habits, how you structure your daily routine, all of that comes into play as well.
Right. And I remember there was a lot of, in the book, there's a lot of levels of, which I thought was super advanced for such an old traditional system as Ayurveda. But it seems like it's common sense, something that you would want to do when you have somebody come up with an issue. You do a lot of evaluations. I can't remember if there was a subjective, but definitely the tongue tests. There's like the shape of the tongue and how it looks, the appearance. That tells a lot about a person. What was there? It's the eyes, I think, maybe. I'm not sure if that was iridology, but
the eyes, the skin, even how they talk, their temperament.
right.
You can notice sometimes even like a smell coming off of somebody. The nails are something that we look at.
Right.
The pulse can be used in diagnosis. Also, the stool gives a powerful insight about what's going on in your digestive tract. So, the person's habits around urination, bowel movements, sweating, all of that gives you information as to what their body type likely is and what their current state of imbalance likely is.
And by enzymes and things that might be in the urine, saliva, that sort of thing.
Yeah, enzymes are more like a Western understanding. We would look more at the properties, of those things in Ayurveda. Color, smell, consistency. Yep.
Okay.
all of that, the frequency at which they go.
Right, right.
Um, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's a very, very all encapsulating type of a practice.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, do you have a physical practice, or are
I
you
do.
mostly online?
These days, I offer everything online,
Hmm.
and I've
Okay.
been doing that since 2015, so way
Wow.
before COVID. I've been offering a lot of my services online, and then when COVID happened, I just went fully online all the time.
Right.
So I do one-on-one consultations online, and with those, folks may wonder, well, how can you take my pulse and
Yeah.
see my
Yeah.
tongue and all this stuff if we're online? But I have a pretty extensive intake form, and I've been refining this process over the last 8 years. So I've got it down to a pretty good regimen, but I've got a pretty extensive intake form, and I ask folks to send me photos as
Hmm.
well, and also ask them while we're talking about certain things in their body, to palpate here and tell me what you feel, or
Right. Right.
what is your tongue like in the morning when you wake up? Can you check it out over the next few weeks and let me know, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
um, and so I offer one-on-one consultations, and I have an online course, an 8-week online course
Hmm.
called Ayurveda Made Easy, that is basically distills all the most practical aspects of Ayurveda down into this easily digestible program.
Yeah.
It's sort of all the stuff that I go over with clients, and teach people to use in terms of maintaining their optimal health. And then
Right.
I also run an online 9-day guided cleanse.
Hmm.
I do group cohorts in the spring and in the fall, and then it's also available for purchase if folks want to do it on their own in between those times. But that's a nice way to kind of give your gut a little reset,
Yeah.
and can be helpful in figuring out food sensitivities and just shifting your habits, cleaning the slate, detoxifying your body, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, would you say a person's headspace kind of has to be in a state where they're ready to make a change, or could it be on like a simple dietary level at first, and then they get results and they start to think, hey, there might be more to this than I thought.
Yeah, yeah. Ayurveda is all about meeting people where they're at. So,
Hmm.
um, for some clients, they are ready to make some big changes. Maybe they've gotten a scary diagnosis, or, they just turned a certain age and now they feel like, I want to, get my health in gear. They just retired and it's time to take care of themselves. And so, they come like, I want big changes. And then other folks, feel like, yeah, I know I need to shift some things, but also I'm a single working mom and I've got all these responsibilities, and like, I can't do, I
All
don't
the
have a bunch
things.
of time for myself. So all that is welcome, and we just break down the steps, um, the sort of the path to your healing. We just break it down into smaller steps so that it's doable for you. And that's a unique, I think, a unique aspect of the Ayurvedic um, patient practitioner relationship, is that it's more collaborative. It's
Hmm.
more, I'm going to offer you, like I said earlier, everything has the potential to be medicine and everything has the potential to be poison. So we can the ways to approach healing are sort of endless, right? And I offer my clients sort of a menu of ways that we can work with the imbalances that I see. And then they pick and choose what's doable for them at that given time. And then we just slowly build on it. And the approach of Ayurveda is very much slow and steady wins the race. So we're not looking to, overhaul your entire life on the first visit, because that just doesn't last.
Right.
It's
Right.
it's not going to be sustainable. But when we gradually make things habits and shift patterns, that really lasts over the long run.
Yeah, it's a time-honored approach, which is slow
Hmm.
and steady wins the race. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Life changes very slowly. That your body can kind of acclimate to the changes and adjust. Um, is there any specific elements or foods that are very specific to the Ayurvedic way, as it were?
Um, I mean, there's traditional foods for sure. Ghee would be one, clarified butter.
Mm-hmm.
There's an Ayurvedic dish called khichdi that's like mung dal and rice, and that's a very simple healing food. But really, the Ayurvedic framework and understanding could be applied to any diet, any food system. So you don't have to eat Indian food if you want to do Ayurveda. You can still eat what you're used to eating and just employ the understanding.
Right, that balance, the
Hmm.
harmony of the was it moist and dry and hot and cold, that sort of thing.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, exactly,
yeah, that's
exactly.
great. And as far as that course you were talking about, I said 9 weeks. Was that right?
8 weeks.
8 weeks,
Hmm.
and it goes over the history and kind of gives everybody a way to kind of begin their own way with Ayurveda.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it goes over the history of Ayurveda, but it gives you the foundational concepts of Ayurveda, really break those down.
Okay.
And then, yeah, each lesson, each module kind of builds on the last. So we start with the really basic, like ABCs of Ayurveda and the Eastern way of um, understanding patterns. That's a
Mm,
big aspect of Eastern medicine in general. Patterns and context, like looking
right.
at the big picture and looking at how things move over time. Whereas Western medicine really like zeroes in on, oh, we have a problem. Let's magnify that one little
Yeah.
area and look at the problem there. And we're just going to treat that area for the most part. I mean, I'm oversimplifying, but so this is like this course introduces this new way of understanding and bringing to life this idea of patterns and context and how to incorporate that into your understanding of yourself and apply it to maintaining your health. So we go over the foundational concepts, we go over body type, we go over what an ideal sort of daily routine looks like for each of the body types. And daily routine is kind of a way to give your body our body's gift to us is adaptability, right? It's adapting all the time to maintain homeostasis. We go outside and it's cold, it adapts. We come inside and it's warm, it adapts. We eat something new, it figures out how to digest it. We have a new experience, it figures out how to digest it. What we can give as our thank you to our body is predictability. We can, as much as possible, set up our days in a rhythm that flows so that it's not like a surprise. Oh, we're eating now, even though we're not hungry. And it's like not the usual time that we eat, or, oh, we're going to bed now. And, it's crazy late and we're exhausted, or we're waking up at the crack of dawn. As much as we can set a steady flow, that really supports our body in being able to maintain balance. And so Ayurveda has a lot to say on just our daily routine, cultivating that so that we're creating the space for our bodies to thrive. We also go over working with the mind and how to shift your mindset, ways that you can sort of enliven your energy and stimulate the mind and make you more alert if that's what's needed, and as well as ways that you can calm the mind and center your focus and slow yourself down if that's what's needed. So Ayurveda has a lot of time-tested tools that we can use to support our mental health as well as our physical health. And then we go into digestion and diet as well. Digestion is kind of seen as the cornerstone of health. That's where we interact with the outside world, and our body has to make sense of what we take in and remove the waste and assimilate the good stuff. And so a lot of times when we develop an imbalance in our body, if we trace it back to where it started in our gut. And so there's a lot of importance placed on understanding your digestion and supporting your digestive health. So that's kind of the way that the course flows. And during those 8 weeks, there's live Q&As with me and the other folks in the course, so that you get the benefit of hearing everybody's great questions that you might not have thought to ask. And you get this kind of group momentum and support as you're integrating these new habits and new lifestyle into your life. And once you sign up for the course, you have lifetime access to it. So even if you don't get through all the material in those 8 weeks, you can still watch it after. And I'm always available by email for any questions that folks have. But yeah, it's a labor of love, and I think a great synthesis of the beauty of Ayurveda, the Ayurveda that is meant for everyday people to apply and to keep themselves healthy. So yeah, and we're getting ready to start March 28th. We're going to begin the next session. I run that course in the spring and the fall.
Excellent. That's awesome. Yeah, it sounds like a very full and informative and healthy course.
Yeah.
Now, as far as herbs, do you have a Western herbal history?
I do have training in Western herbalism as well as in Ayurvedic herbs. So I'm familiar with both.
Yeah. Is there a crossover at all, or is it very is again
Again,
understanding of that dichotomy between the types of herbs, cold and chili, that sort of thing?
similar to applying the framework of Ayurveda to different types of foods, we can do the same thing with herbs. So we look at the properties of herbs. What are the qualities like? Is this herb heating or cooling? Is it stimulating or calming? Is it, what part of the plant is it from? Is it a rootsy herb that's going to be more grounding? Or is it the leafy part of the plant that's going to be a little more airy and light? So we can use Ayurveda's understanding to understand Western herbs as well.
Yeah, it adapts to any system, basically.
Yeah, Ayurveda plays great with everybody.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Now, as far as clients that you have, are you pretty busy as far as your practice goes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thankfully so.
That's good. Now, is this something that you would train somebody else? Are you at the level where you'd be ready to try and train other people to do what you do as well?
I used to run an online Ayurveda school,
Okay.
and I helped develop the curriculum with a team, and taught in the programs as well. And we ran certification programs for folks who were looking to become Ayurveda professionals. And that was great. That was a wonderful experience that I'm grateful to have had. And where I feel more passionate and excited about right now is teaching everyday people how to
Yeah.
maintain their own health.
Right.
Because I personally experienced such a revolution in my own health through Ayurveda. And so I want to share that with as many people as I can, because I think a lot of folks these days feel sort of stuck in a system that doesn't feel healthy, doesn't feel like it cares about their well-being,
Right.
and doesn't feel like a transformation is possible. It's just going to be like a dependence on some medication for the rest of your life. And I was in that same boat back in
Yeah.
my early 20s. I just thought, oh, I'm going to have these chronic health issues forever, and I'm just always going to need to have health insurance and
Right.
periodically get medication to deal with them. And then enter Ayurveda, and it just rocked my world. It was like such basic, easy, free changes to make in my
Yeah.
life that I've never had to take medication for those chronic health issues since then. And this is like 20 something years ago.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah.
And well, one of the great things I think that I get a sense of is the level of control that you have in your own health. Whereas in the Western culture, typically you're at the whims of a professional, and that's it. There's
Yeah,
no learning past that.
for sure.
You ask them what you need, and that's all there is.
Yeah.
Whereas with Ayurvedic, there's the possibility that you are in control of your own your own realm, your own health
It's not even the
to love.
possibility. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You are the one most responsible for your health. And in Eastern medicine, um, more of the responsibility is placed on the patient. Whereas in Western medicine, all the responsibility is placed on the doctor, like you said. But with Eastern medicine, you're the one living in your body every day. You're the one making daily choices. Nobody knows your body like you. And whether you want to tune into it or not, there is some level of innate wisdom where you might not make the right choice, but in your gut, like, I shouldn't do that. That's not going to be good for me. I'm going to feel that tomorrow, or I'm going to feel that next week, or I'm going to feel that right now. And so, yeah, Ayurveda recognizes that and kind of celebrates that and looks to empower you even further to understand yourself more deeply.
Yeah, that's when that just feels very free, very
Mhm.
liberating,
Mhm.
to have
Yeah,
to
for sure.
to have the control, you know. It's what you put in your mouth and what you eat and how you live, and it's a really cool practice. One that I should practice. I don't practice. I find it amazing and just all encompassing. But it's definitely something I need to do more of in my life. It's not like a full. I'm aware of it, but that's to the extent that I do it is that I'm very watchful and conscious of what I put into my body, uh, but not on an Ayurvedic sense of me trying to balance you know the elements in the food. It's definitely something that I feel like I could benefit a lot from, though.
Yeah,
Everybody could. It's like taking the reins over your intake, basically.
totally. Well, and it's not going anywhere. It's been around for a long
Right.
time. So
Yeah.
it's there waiting for you when you're ready.
Yeah. 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 And as far as for your clients, what kind of results are they saying that they get, or what kind of feedback are you getting from your clients?
Yeah. Gosh, I see a lot of women with hormone issues
Hmm.
and digestive issues. A
Okay.
lot of women around age 35 to 60, 65, kind of in the menopause
Right.
window. And so I mean, I'm thinking of so many people and what the transformation they've experienced, but better digestion,
Right.
feeling more at home in their body and more connected to their body. I think, for a lot of people that have maybe abused their body, really pushed their limits, and yeah, kind of run on empty for a long time. When perimenopause hits, the debt collector kind of
Right.
comes to take back all that you've been running on. And I think for a number of my clients, it's been like, whose body is this? Like, I don't even understand what's happening. I'm gaining
Hmm.
weight. I've never had an issue with weight. I can't sleep, but I'm exhausted all the time. Like, what is going on in here? So kind of a recalibration and a coming home to themselves, I think has been probably one of the most profound healing experiences I've gotten to witness. Better sleep, better skin, better elimination, better daily routine, and just kind of flow, like an ease in anxiety and stress, a soothing, yeah, relief to their nervous system.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I've had people that have done a lot of people that do my cleanse, you feel like they shed excess weight that they've been carrying around and not wanting, and don't feel like it's even theirs. Um, they've reported, big shifts in their habits, even going off the cleanse, that they don't bring some of the things back in that they know weren't serving them because they had this time and space to get more perspective on it. Um, yeah, so everything from really small shifts
Yeah.
where it's just like, oh, I actually slept the full night. And that was the first time I did that in months and months. And that was amazing, to really big shifts. Like, I feel like a totally new person and I've got all this energy. And I, realized these things I want to change about my life that I've just been settling for a long time. So the whole gamut, I would say.
Yeah, a whole range of things.
Yeah.
Like surprise stuff, anything like major life changes and swings that you've seen that
Um, I mean, folks who had been struggling with hormone health issues, and dependent on medication, gradually being able to wean themselves off medication, working with their doctor.
right.
Um, and so, yeah, like finding relief from some chronic health issue that someone's been taking medicine for years and years, and then, being able to come off medication and manage it just through their diet and lifestyle more holistically. Those have been some pretty big shifts. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. That's got to be great though. It's
Mhm.
seeing that change in people from coming in, having serious issues, headaches, whatever it might be, and then seeing a transformation. That's got to be pretty powerful.
Yeah,
You
for
know.
sure.
Yeah. And as far as in the future, where do you see your practice going? Where you looking to take it?
Yeah, well, I'm really enjoying teaching online, and so I do hope to build more courses. I've got a course just focused on digestion in the
Hmm.
works. Hopefully, be launching that sometime this fall. I plan to continue doing one-on-one work with clients and leading group cleanses. I've been doing some in-person workshops as well in the area, and it's nice to also kind of build community in each other's presence, physical presence. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I've talked potentially about going to other geographic regions to do workshops and teachings and stuff there.
Right. Traveling,
Um,
doing
yeah, a little
seminars,
bit
that
of
sort of
travel.
thing. Hmm.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hmm.
But yeah, just looking to build the community around studying Ayurveda in a really practical way. I mean, I'd say that's my approach, is very practical
Yeah.
in recognizing that, none of us are going to do it perfect, and we
Right.
all, are doing the best we can. And so how can we adapt it to apply it to our modern day way of life and still make it really effective?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, is there a particular relationship between Ayurveda and yoga?
Yeah, I mean, yoga is a sister science of Ayurveda.
Okay.
And so yoga is more centered on the mind and mental
Hmm.
health, really. We think of it as being a very physical thing. That's how we know it in the West, as
Right.
asana and
Stretching.
yoga
Right.
poses. But really, those movements are meant to enable you to sit in meditation for a long time. That's what it's
Right.
all building up to. So yoga is very centered on the mind, and Ayurveda is very centered on the body, but
Hmm.
they both recognize that there's a connection between the two. And so they both work to support all of it. Ayurveda just really hones in on the physical body, and
Hmm.
yoga, we look to more for honing in on the mind and mental health.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So both of them kind of work in tandem
They
as a.
complement each other beautifully. Yeah. And I,
Yeah.
I am a yoga teacher and teach
Okay.
yoga and practice yoga. And so I do incorporate some of that understanding as well into my work with clients
Right.
and into my courses. Definitely do a lot with breath work, breathing
Hmm. Yeah.
exercises.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Is
So
that something that comes through with Ayurvedic too? Is breathing? Is
yeah,
that? I
for
feel like I
sure.
remember that being. I'm not sure if it was in yoga or if it was in Ayurveda, where it's like circular breathing and breathing into the abdomen a whole lot. And
Well, and just
uh,
even looking at how the breath flows in the body can tell you about, where things are stuck. It's like a diagnostic tool as well.
okay,
You can see what parts of the body are getting well oxygenated and have a lot of movement and flow, and what parts of the body seem more constricted and cut off. And then, yeah, one of the classical Ayurvedic texts, the Charaka Samhita, says that the wise The unwise physician follows disease and kills prana, which prana is loosely translated as breath. It's a little bit more than just our breath. It's like our life force, but it's carried on the breath. So the unwise physician follows disease and kills prana, kills this life force, this breath. The wise physician follows prana, follows the breath, and kills disease. So this idea that, look at how the breathing is flowing, and that's going to tell you a lot about what's going on in the system.
Right. Find the cause, not the effect.
Yeah.
Treat that versus the symptom. Of course, that's very wise. Good, wise practice there. And, where are you hailing from? Where are you coming from?
I live in New Jersey, near the shore, near Asbury Park.
Oh, okay. That's very nice. Is there a large Ayurvedic community there, or?
It's growing. There's a really big yoga community for sure. And through that, I feel like Ayurveda is kind of riding on the coattails of yoga in the West, and more and more folks are becoming interested in it, hearing about it in their yoga teacher trainings, incorporating it into their yoga classes. So people are curious, and so many people are feeling the benefits of yoga and are like, oh, what's this other thing coming from the Vedic culture? I want to know about that too.
Yeah. And Asbury Park, is that near the city?
It's near, in terms of New York City, it's probably like an hour and a half.
Oh, okay. So it's not
super close. Hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe, depending on where you're going. Like if you take the train from Asbury, it's about 2 hours. Then Philly is also like an hour and a half. So we're kind of in between the two.
I lived outside of Philly for a long time. So that I think is 2.5 hours without too much traffic to the city, something like that, driving.
Yeah, maybe so. I've never done that trip, but.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people finding definitely yoga and different forms of body conditioning. It seems to be on the rise. Maybe it's an output from the pandemic, where it just seems like people are focused a little bit more on non-traditional means of approaching spirituality, health. I'm thinking of a group in New Jersey, actually, that does ice dunks, where they go and sit in ice baths and, to conquer some of the mind's controls over cold or what have you. And a lot of people doing yoga. It seems like that's becoming a really large movement. Are you seeing the numbers have been growing in terms of maybe post-pandemic?
Yeah, I think so. I think people are wanting to take a more holistic approach to their health and not just wait until they get sick, and rely on some medicine to fix them. But how do I build my resilience so that I don't get sick at all?
Right. Yeah. What I've always found is that as humans in general, this is a super generalization, to make change, we typically have to be put into a corner before we'll do the action, whatever that action is, to change the situation. But it's usually when we're already boxed in, or we're already sick, or we already have some kind of ailment that's led us to looking for a solution. The preemptive work doesn't seem to happen as much. It's usually like something spurs it, or something, like a dramatic shift of change of health or something like that. But the pandemic seemed to have done a lot of the work in that regard, where people got very aware really quick of their health on a mass. I've definitely seen a big change in a lot of people in what their focus is, at different levels, of course. And then, of course, others that aren't. Those are more desperate. But, that's... So where can people find you if they wanted to learn about your course and the services that you have to offer?
Yeah, my website is probably the easiest place, indraholistic.com. That's INDRA holistic.com. And on there, I have a number of free resources, and you can, learn about my course and sign up for it. You can learn about consultations, and you can learn about my cleanse, and get in touch with me if you want to just book a free call. There's a a link to do that as well. If you just want to chat and see how Ayurveda might help you, talk about where your health challenges are and see if it's a good fit. That's kind of the Grand Central Station.
That's excellent. We'll link to it as well in the description on the podcast and on YouTube.
Awesome.
What does Indra mean?
Indra is a god in Hindu mythology, and as well as in Ayurveda. I first heard the name Indra in a Hinduism class I took in college, my last semester of college, long before I even knew Ayurveda. And as soon as I heard that name, it just stood out to me. And I was like, wow, the next thing that I have to name, I'm naming Indra. I love that name.
Yeah.
And then years later, then I got a dog, probably like 5 years later, and I named her Indra. And shortly after that, I met my friend Seva, who introduced me to Ayurveda. And when I began studying Ayurveda, I learned that Indra is the god who taught Ayurveda to the people so that they could heal themselves and they could live out their dharma. When I learned about Indra in my Hinduism class, I learned of him as the god who rides the chariot that carries the sun over the horizon. And he's also the god of rain and thunder. And he was said to be the king of the gods. But the aspect of him that stood out to me the most was his relationship to Ayurveda, how he shared it with the people. And so, that when I was starting this business, that name was just like the obvious choice.
It was the obvious thing, right? Now it sounds parallels to like Zeus, maybe, or it's like a weather god, that sort of thing.
Maybe,
Chariot in the sun reminds me of Zeus, or not Zeus, even if it's thunderbolts, but like Ra or something like that in the Egyptian pantheon.
Yeah. I don't know all the stories of Indra. There are many, but those are the ones that I know that have really stood out to me. I've never heard Indra be equated to Zeus myself, but there may be some truth to that.
Something to that, yeah. Well, Zeus was like thunderbolts, and I'm not sure if it's storms, but king of the was it Greek pantheon or whatever. But the sun deity is typically Shamash, was it, in Sumerian, trying to get back into the depths of the god chronology back in the day. And in Egypt it was Ra, right? Although I don't know that they had the storms and the, that other part, that element to it as well. But Indra, that's really cool. Yeah. Okay. And if you could give somebody advice as far as if they were looking to get into Ayurvedic work, what would that be?
Well,
where would they start?
I have a number of like free resources on my website. You can go to indraholistic.com and then go to the resources tab, and there's a whole bunch of resources there. But the one that I would point folks in the direction of, it's a good place to start, is Ayurveda's Guide to Healthy Eating Habits. And so if you go to indraholistic.com/eating, you can download it for free there. And that just gives you simple kind of universal rules for how to eat, not so much what to eat, but how to eat in a way that is going to support your digestion.
Right. Yeah, which is very important. Yeah.
And you can even just pick like one or two of those. Like it's a 1-page document with, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 things on it. But you could just pick one or two to start with that seem easy and like, oh yeah, I can do that. Let me do that for a week and see how I feel. See what you notice. So I think that would be where I'd send folks to start.
Right. Just give it a week and see what happens and see how the body reacts. And
notice how you feel, how your energy level is, how your digestion is, how you sleep, how your elimination is. All of those give us clues into Yeah, what's working and what's not.
Right. Kind of get a body sense.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Excellent. Well, Kimberly, fantastic talking to you today.
You too. Thank you so
Um,
much for having me.
and repeat that the website is indraholistic.com.
Yeah,
Okay.
indraholistic.com, INDRA
Okay.
holistic.com.
And when does that course come out?
The Ayurveda Made Easy, my 8-week course, it will begin on March 28th.
March 28th.
Yeah,
Excellent. All
yeah.
right. Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to it.
Thank you. Me
Hey, thank
too.
you. Yeah, and have a great night.
You too.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Nick.
Yeah. Bye
Take
bye.
care. Bye.